well.
Speaking as somebody that is obviously a user, and also as an IT journalist gets asked to beta test things occasionally, I sometimes get the impression that there might be a dodging of responsibilities going on. You know, that, well, actually, you know, let's just do this, and then we'll put it out to a few people that can tell us what's wrong with it, and then we'll fix it from there. Is that a fair comment?
I think you've hit on something interesting there, because if you think about it, betas are often given away for free. They're trialware, if you like, and they have a time where you can use them and pull them apart. It's a great way of putting them into the real world, because whilst it may be very safe in a lab, and the dev cycle is good and looked at from a security perspective, put it in the hands of users, put it in the hands of testers that look at it from an independent perspective, and it's amazing what you see different in the real world compared to the lab or the software house itself.
So you view that as a crucial part of the process?
Very.
I think it is. I mean, when you test the systems in, if you like, the system department, when you actually move it to the user department and start user testing, the whole load of other stuff comes out. And beta testing to the general public is just an extension of that, I think. I think the issue, though, is that really people who are getting beta copies need to actually understand that it is a beta copy and there's a lot of strings attached to it. Now, some of the bigger organisations are very strict about this. You have to sign a non-disclosure. There's a whole load of terms and conditions about surrounding the beta software, and so you really know what you're getting into. But unfortunately, there are also the other side where a beta copy is put on the website, anybody can download it, and people expect it to be a fully functional working thing, which of course clearly it's not.
Yes, I very rarely have, as I recall, signed any terms and conditions for testing beta software. So that's interesting. You had a point there, Anthony, I think. Yeah,
I was going to say, there is another way to all this, and instead of looking at this as a beta as a phase, as part of testing, for example, security, a lot of the agile approaches to software development look at a continual testing development cycle, and they literally do testing then development. So software development level testing, let's test, build a test, then build the software to meet that test. It'll be interesting to see what effect that has on security, in the sense that if you're already defining up front what those tests are, what threats you're trying to protect against, and then build to it rather than against it. And then if you do that continuously, so then the beta program, if you even need one, is not something which happens at the end of that cycle before you start shipping software. It's something that's continually happening. We were talking a bit earlier outside about some software that we've been involved in recently. What that is something that's being developed very publicly, in the sense that you can get the builds, the milestones, so you are seeing what the developers are seeing. And if you're really interested and passionate about that software, you'll get involved, you'll try it out. And yes, we are relying on users to actually say, come and try it out. But we're doing it, showing them exactly what we are doing, making very visible what we're doing. And that seems to be a much better approach to security, by making things more public, perversely, rather than actually closing it in, hiding it away until you get your beta test at the end, and then you find there's problems with it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I think there are other ways to actually approach this life cycle which might address these security issues much sooner.
So rather than final release, I suppose you're proposing an ongoing iterative process. Find the issues, build them in, accept the public user base, get that in, rather than a full-blown release of something that really hasn't ever been seen in the light of day. Problem that I think that we should challenge as well is, I think there is more of a willingness of people to engineer in security, but again, their knowledge of it isn't actually necessarily good. A great coder isn't necessarily a security practitioner, and they build things to work, rather than the inverse model of what people do, that turn it on its head and break things and make it work in a different way. So a coder releases a piece of kit that is designed to do A, but the hacker will actually make it behave in behavior B, which is a totally foreign concept to a coder. It's a different mindset.
Absolutely.
It's the flexibility of the software that's, in a sense, the devil in the detail here, because you can do so many different things. This again leads to perhaps a different approach to testing. So many years ago, I worked for a subsidiary of DEC, and I can talk about it now because it no longer exists. But what was interesting, and the best thing they did on our project, where I was a developer, is instead of the developers sitting apart from the testers, so the testers were the guys in the other room that you didn't see very often, they actually got them to come and sit next to us. And you know, the testers turned out to be really nice people. And they did things like
To
looked at our
everyone's
code,
surprise.
and we would show them stuff
Yes.
and say, oh, how's this? And they taught us a lot more about testing as developers
Yes.
and the other way around, they started to appreciate what we were doing. So if you can get these people to not only work together because the life cycle's forcing them to, but actually get them to work together so that the developers who are good at developing good code also get the appreciation about, is this testable code?
Yes.
There's a lot of attitudes that need to change here.